You're listening to Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast. Brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technologically advanced silhouette decoy on the market. First Light, the best hunting gear on the planet. Go farther, stay longer. And Ducklander Calls. Tradition, education, and quality. Built to hunt.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Union 0430. This is episode 232, and it's a great one. We've got an awesome show for you tonight. We've got Tyler Baskfield from Duck Creek Decoy Works. They are the inventor of the flashback decoy, and we're going to get into all of that because it is super cool, and you know us. We love new products, and we love talking about it. Before we start, just like Jeff Coates said on the intro, this episode is brought to you by Real Geese Silhouette Decoys, Ducklander Duck Calls, and First Light Hunting Clothing. Please head over, give them some love. Don't forget to like and subscribe on this podcast. And let's not forget Captain Jeff Coates, the voice of the Union 0430 podcasts, from Pit Boss Waterfowl out of Maryland, USA. We've got Tyler on with us. Like I said, he's coming to us, Philly. You're going to be proud. You're going to be proud. He's coming to us from the Mile High City. By way of Canada. Man, there's a lot of Minnesotans that think they're just as much Canadian as they are American. So if you get a chance, when Tyler leans in, you'll see that beautiful T-shirt he's wearing, and he's still rocking his Minnesota roots. So, yeah, here we go.
Old time hockey.
The great state of hockey, Minnesota. Despite what anybody else says, Minnesota is the state of hockey. Boys, welcome to the show. Tyler, thank you so much for agreeing to come on. It was pretty quick too, from when I reached out to you to when you were like, yeah, let's do it, to here we are tonight recording an episode. So thank you so much for jumping on with me and the boys.
Damien, it's my pleasure. And I just appreciate you having us on. Thanks for being graceful enough for having us on. I know probably the toughest thing in your business is probably filling time, right? We give everybody a chance to do their podcast. I'm always thrilled to come on and talk about decoys or talk about what we're up to here at Duck Creek or whatever the case may be. It's a blast to come on and hear what hunting's like in other parts of the country, other parts of the continent. So, yeah, thanks for having me on. We just really appreciate it.
No, buddy, thank you so much. Craig and Phil, so this is how it usually goes. Craig and Phil will sometimes, they'll say, hey, listen, this guy reached out, they want to come on the show, and then they'll let me know, and then I reach out and we go back and forth. But 9 times out of 10, I'm retired. I'm ex-military. I'm retired, so I don't have a full-time job. Craig and Phil still have a young family, and they work full-time jobs. So I usually find everybody. So it's usually, hey boys, Thursday we're doing a show. Can you make it? And then it'll be, who is it? And then I'll say, oh, this is who it is, and I'll send the Instagram or the social media and stuff like that. And the boys are like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. So this is who we got tonight. And they were like, okay, sweet. And it's always a little bit of a gamble because, like I said, both of them got young families and are full-time working. So the chances of getting both of them on the show.
And one of us is a shift worker.
And one, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not me.
Bullshit. No.
So to get all 3 of us on the show, it is lately it's been somewhat of a feat. So no, it's good, buddy. We appreciate you coming on, and especially because the time difference. It's 7:00 in the evening here. What is it? 4 your time?
It's about 5 o'clock here in Denver.
Five.
So
Okay.
So yeah.
Tyler, buddy, I really wanted to get into, like I said to you when we chatted on the phone, one of my favorite topics is on this show is innovation, and I love it when, and I say it all the time, and I don't want to throw shade on any other pursuit out there, but to me it seems like the waterfowl hunter is just constantly at the drawing board trying to figure out new ways to pull birds in. And I seen a video. I've seen the flashback decoy before, but I wasn't following you guys. And then about 2 weeks ago, I seen this video pop up on my social media feed, and it was your flashback, and it's doing its thing, right? And we're going to get in, because you're going to show us one in action here as we get going on the show. But it's doing its thing, and there's a widgeon swimming around it, and I'm like, man, you can't get a better test than that. Here you are right out in the spread, and birds are coming in and doing their thing, right? So it was at that moment I was like, I gotta get you to come on. So very long way of saying, how did you start? Like, what pushed you to this innovation, to this type of decoy?
Yeah, well, Damien, it's kind of the oldest story there is, man. I had a problem and I wanted to solve it, and I couldn't figure out any way to solve it without creating something myself. Just for a little bit of background on me, at the time I was working at the Division of Wildlife, the Colorado Division of Wildlife here, and lifelong passionate duck hunter. Duck hunting's a religion for my family.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up in Minnesota duck hunting on big water, and then always had a serious passion for wildlife and all types of hunting and fishing, and so much so that the cabin culture is probably big up where you guys are too, but it's huge in Minnesota. And I always told myself, before I even get married or before I even buy a house, I'm buying a cabin, kind of a family compound type place where when I do have a family, we can all go and circle the wagons and do some duck hunting. But I grew up duck hunting on the same lake that my grandfather hunted on, and his brother was a Monsignor in the Catholic Church, and he would say mass for duck hunters on the shore of the lake afterwards. So there's no choice really to be at the very least very into nature, and duck hunting was a huge part of it for us. So that's how I got into duck hunting. But my problem was out at my farm. The way my farm is, and I say farm in air quotes. It's really 40-acre inholding in a large, wealthy landowner's place. So it's a meth lab on 40 acres, so to speak. You're not going to see it on the cover of Architectural Digest anytime soon. But it's right on the South Platte River, which is a big kind of duck hunting mecca out here in between Denver and Greeley. And I was having this problem where ducks were flying over me no matter what I would do at like 500 yards, 600 yards, and they were going from sanctuary to sanctuary in this wealthy landowner's place because he didn't allow hunting. He had warm water slough. I was surrounded by sanctuary, and these birds would just get trained up and they'd know where to go, and I couldn't trick them. I could put out 500 decoys. I could put out, 2 decoys. I could motion, anything. I just couldn't trick them. And it's one thing to be skunked. It's another thing to be out hunting and get passed up by 1,000 ducks and not fire a shot. Like, that makes you go crazy. And it makes you feel like a bad duck hunter. It hurts your self-esteem. Went home one day after a morning duck hunt where I got humbled and just took a nap, and woke up to a football game and this epiphany of how I could do this, make like a actual feeding motion decoy that, wasn't a water feature or whatever was out there that could trick these like late season ducks that were well educated. And started going to work on it. Thought there was something to it. came up with some prototypes with some help from some engineers, and we started running the prototypes and watching the prototypes even during the off season and seeing how ducks reacted to them. And, you know, for lack of a better term, kind of just knew there was something to it, and grabbed my balls and said, I want to be a businessman, and I want to kind of have a reputation of being a guy who changed waterfowl hunting for the better, with a product. So, you know, I grew up reading Outdoor Life and all those old fancy decoy books and all that stuff. And I thought, you know, if I could just even get to the point where somebody writes about me in a decoy book, a traditional decoy book someday, as a guy who pushed this forward a little bit, it would be a thrill. It would be a thrill. And I know I'm not curing brain cancer or anything like that, but in some ways, you know, it's more important than that. We only get so many times to hunt with our friends and family, and the last thing you want to do is like fight with a piece of junk that ruins your day out there hunting when you do get out in the field with on a great day with friends and family. So that's kind of the mission behind Duck Creek Decoy Works. The flashback is a pretty effective decoy. I'm kind of a work, pray, save kind of guy. So I'm not one of these guys who really goes out there and chest beats hard about it. Probably not hard enough, to be honest. But if you talk to the people who hunt with them, it's really good at finishing ducks. It's really good at attracting ducks. They don't seem to catch on to it regardless, just because the motion's so realistic. And I think the other really important thing is not only the durability of it. It's not something that you're going to have to throw in the dumpster and buy a new one at the end of the year, but it's eloquent to hunt over and easy to hunt over. You're not setting up cords and cables, and the dog's not getting tangled in it. It deploys just like a traditional decoy once you have the battery charged up or the power anchor charged up, and you're up and hunting, and nothing's clanking around, nothing's making noise. It's kind of a pleasure to hunt with, if that makes any sense. You've probably been to the website and seen them. I mean, we do that kind of traditional paint job for a reason. That new paint job of ours, I kind of like having a little bit of tradition in the blind, you know. So
I like it. It was honestly, I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't know what was up with that. But that was one of the first things I noticed when I looked at the decoy. I was like, it looks like, and this isn't a slag against the product. I don't know if this is going to come out the wrong way, but it looks like if I carved my own decoy and I painted it myself, as opposed to sending it to some fancy factory and getting some crazy paint, it looks like what all four of us would paint up if we were painting our own decoys.
Traditional gunning decoy.
Yeah. We hired
just like you look at, like, say, the Dixies, for example.
Yeah, the Dixie decoys. Yeah.
Yeah, people are like, well, there's no eyes on your decoys. So
yeah.
We partnered up with Luke Costello, who's a 9-time world champion decoy carver. And he said, man, I love your decoy, but like, will you let me retool the paint job? Because mine, the one I was doing back here with the airbrush and my guys were doing with the airbrush was a little cartoonish, you know what I mean? It could be more eloquent. And he went to town on it, and I think it's beautiful. And I think, you know, the thing about a gunning decoy, a traditional decoy, is you accentuate things that attract ducks, right? Like the white underbelly of the hen now and that kind of thing. It's probably a little bit more than it would have in the wild, but you kind of want to make those accents a little bit stronger. The fact of the matter is, yeah, it's nice to have a decoy that's got, you know, half closed eyes or feather detail or whatever, but if you aren't pulling the trigger by the time the duck figures that out, you got other issues to worry about besides the lifelikeness of the decoy. So we love them. I'm thrilled with it. I think it puts us in a great position to just be not only super innovative with the action, but also touch on that traditional part of duck hunting that makes duck hunting so fantastic.
Especially for something kind of new and innovative, but to still have that traditional look. It's kind of a good in between.
Yeah, I think it's great. You know, I know what kind of decoys my family grew up hunting with. well before I was born, because they're sitting in our cabin in Minnesota. They hunted over Evans decoys out of Ladyfinger, Wisconsin, and I love that. Like, all these things are regional. Those regional products. It's super cool. I think it makes you know that every time you go into a duck blind, you're joining a fraternity that's a little bit bigger than you are. And it helps you kind of respect what you're doing out there. So it's just I, look, and it's tough for me, Catholic Midwest kid to brag about it, but I couldn't be more pleased with the product. I love hearing from our customers when they come back to us and say, "Hey, look, this has really made my hunting more successful or more enjoyable. It's easy to use. I don't have to worry about the thing finking out on me partway during a hunt." I don't know. It seems like a good life mission to provide something like that. So.
Well, if anybody's listening to this right now and you're thinking in your head, well, another motion decoy to the already long standing list of motion in the spread, right? Because and as hunters, as duck hunters, we know motion. You got to have motion. You got to have some
Motion
motion.
kills.
Motion kills. It could be the old time jerk rig. It could be a rig that's motorized now that's doing the pulling for you. It could be spinners. It could be the quiver butt that just, it's a butt that's poked up all the time and is just making some ripples. But the thing with the flashback is that it looks like a duck on the water, and then it tips, and then it comes back, and then it tips again, and I don't know, man. It's another facet of trying to trick these birds, and I've said it a million times, that have the brain the size of a pea, but evolution has drilled into them that making babies and eating, that's all they know how to do. And we're trying to out trick them, and 9 times out of 10 they'll beat us every time. It's the one time that it works for us, when everything works out right. And if you are in a high pressure area, it is needed more than anywhere else. And when I look at it, I just see how it's got to work, because it is unlike anything. If you look at, I use spinning wing decoys. I use them a lot. The spinning wing decoy, to me, only grabs the bird's attention. I don't look to a spinning wing decoy to decoy my birds. I just get it to grab their attention, pull them in close, and then it's up to my shooting, my calling, and decoy spread to do the rest. But with the flashback, that, to me, that's a decoying tool as opposed to an attention grabber. Is that a right mentality to have?
Yeah, I think we're both, to be honest, because when you run these things, so I've gotten the luxury of seeing a bunch of drone footage of our decoys running, and a lot of guys send me video of drone footage of ducks doing what they're doing in different wetlands and that kind of thing. But you'll notice just that little bit of flash, that flicker when that tail end comes up. It's subtle enough where you can see it from a distance, from the air especially, and then the ripples with it. Really becomes a magnet. And once again, like, I don't want to come off as an arrogant ass that's got the A bomb of motion decoys here. But what I will tell you is, it's like any good waterfowl guide will tell you, use what works, right? Use what works, and use what you enjoy using, and use what makes you confident in the blind. Um, you know, I like fly fishing, right? I love fly fishing, love the science behind it. But if I'm not catching fish on a fly rod, and I'm getting humbled on the flats of the ocean somewhere, I'm picking up a spinning rod to catch a barracuda. Like, I mean, I'll throw a spinning rod. I'm not above that. Like, you're out there to catch fish. Use what works, right? So that's kind of the whole philosophy behind our decoy. I needed something that worked in the situation I was in, and I was getting beat by these mallards, these late season mallards all the time. The other thing that I really enjoy about our decoy is I'm kind of a contrarian by nature, and I zig when other people are zagging. And late season, I'm in a high pressure area where everybody's spread looks the same. It's 200, full body decoys and some geese silhouettes, and they're on the river, and everything looks the same. I love nothing more than stealing a hunt from everybody's nose by using 2 flashbacks and maybe 2 traditional decoys and turning a flock of 20 mallards, just because it's different from everything they're seeing coming down that river corridor. And it's too realistic for them to tell the difference, but they know that there's ducks feeding down there, and they're in. And
and it's different.
yeah,
That's key.
And I think one of the biggest things too that separates you from the pack, so to speak, is you look at your decoy. Like, yeah, you got like the butt flicker, but you look at a lot of like your ripple butt decoys. It's just like a pissant ripple that, like, basically it only makes it look like just the one decoy is moving. Where the motion that your decoy is imparting on the water, I think, puts out a lot bigger wake or ripple, which causes other decoys to move. And I think it creates a bigger picture. Like if you got like decoys close, by close I mean like 3-4 feet, but you have a couple decoys close to it, now it makes those look like they're moving. And then with that decoy, your typical plastic decoy, by it kind of bobbling on that wake that your decoy's putting out, it creates motion. So I guess for lack of a better term, it's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
You're setting that
You're
right
brilliant,
up.
Phil. You're brilliant.
Yeah?
That's brilliant. Yeah.
Just adequate. But again, like it's that, the visual and then the actual physical, like larger wake is what does it.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're dead on. And I think like once you get that whole spread bouncing around, and don't get me wrong, like there's part of me that loves like the Million Man March out there when you start 2 hours before legal shooting time, putting out decoys with the guys and all that. There's times for that too, but sometimes it's really nice to wake up 15 minutes before legal shooting time, and I walk outside of my meth lab cabin and throw a couple flashbacks, and I hunt small. You know what I mean? There's something refreshing about hunting small, and it's not high maintenance, and I can pull the 2 decoys and be home for a football game at noon, and hopefully with a limit of ducks. But I agree with you. I think if you look at our product versus some of the other products out there, I really like the way it hammers the water, and just like a duck does when it's coming up, like they don't mess around. They're there to get their gullet full as quickly as possible, and kicking out good ripples. We're coming out with another cool product. This I haven't told anybody about this, and probably shouldn't, but we're coming out with another product that is again, like, I think very realistic, and it's just not like a water feature in a koi pond. You know what I mean? It's real motion,
Substantial.
and yeah, I think it's cool to be hunting over something like that actually like mimics what a real duck is doing. Um, it's a thrill for me anyway. And we ask people to pay a lot for these things, right? Like we provide good customer service, but they aren't cheap. And I'm not saying for the guy who hunts 3 or 4 times a year that they shouldn't use something that's a little bit more economic for them. But hey, there are guys who their identity is duck hunting, and they want the best of the best, and that's what we aspire to be. So I'm always going to be kind of pushing this thing forward. I love building stuff. I love building better mousetraps. Like that's what the thrill in this business is for me. It's not sitting here looking at invoices. I'll tell you that. So I'm never going to stop getting better at this. I mean, we brought Luke on because I think it shows like what a partnership can do when you got another good guy who really cares about the tradition of duck hunting and doing it right. We keep growing this force, and I think people really appreciate the products that we put out because of that team effort. So,
and looking at like this isn't just a decoy, like it's piece of equipment.
That's right.
Like your gun and your calls and your waders. It's not just a decoy. Like
yeah,
you can have thousands of decoys. All they do is just sit there and stare at each other. Like this is something that imparts motion. Like again, it's to me, it's equipment. There's a big difference between decoys and equipment. This is equipment. It serves a unique purpose, a unique function, and you sure as hell, you ain't gonna go duck hunting without your gun, right?
That's right.
Well, you ain't gonna go duck hunting without this thing either.
yeah, it gives you options too, which as a hunter, like, don't you like having options instead of just saying, well, should we do a J hook spread today or whatever, the same old options? Like,
Yeah.
so our decoy's got two motions. It's kind of got that surface feeding motion and then the dabbling motion that I'm sure you guys have all seen where the butt end comes up. But, you can decide if you're running four of them, should I put two over here doing the surface feeding motion and the shallower water over here? Where do I want these ducks to come into the guns here? And I don't know. I like having options as a hunter, right? So it's fun to kind of strategize, and I've yet to go on a perfect hunt or put on a perfect hunt. But I mean, it's my white whale. It's what I'm chasing, and in order to do that, you need some options. So yeah, I think it's fun. It's a fun piece of equipment to hunt over,
Well,
and
like you said,
and
it
I,
gives
I
you the
like.
sorry, it just gives you the opportunity to downsize a bit too, right? Like you said, if something like that, you don't have to have that big spread. You're getting that motion, that movement. So if you're walking out to a spot or you've got a little spot, you can downsize what you're taking.
Yeah, I love hunting small. I think it's fun. I think it's fun to have, ducks cupped up 5 feet above the decoys. In fact, there are days where I enjoy watching ducks come in more than shooting them. And a lot of times I'm shooting ducks more for the dog than I am myself. I've got a freezer full at home, and I'm set on that front. But there's something that just will never dampen the thrill of seeing a duck cupped up that you've tricked, right? And there's a lot of guys who can do it with calling. There's a lot of guys who can do it with the other skill sets, but um, it's a thrill for me to see them cupped up right over a flashback, sitting right on top of the damn thing. When you're in the blind, it means you got checkmate on these guys, right? That's a thrill, and I think that bleeds over into other aspects of hunting too. Like there's something to be said for shooting a deer with one shot and not having to fire 14 shots at a deer that's running in front of you. It's there's kind of an etiquette to it, and the older and the more experienced you get in duck hunting, those are the kind of things that keep it interesting. So
I really, listening to the three of you talk here for the last few minutes, there's so many things that's bouncing around in my head. And Craig, you hit it when you talked about downsizing, and Tyler, you did too. But I think of that little hole that you hunt, Phil, where you're in a fairly pressured area too. Not so much that exact hole that you do, but there's a lot of hunters around you, right? And that little hole with the trees around it, and I just think that something like this, instead of having to slug 24 full body mallards over your shoulder in to put them. And Tyler, when you were saying, put out a couple traditional decoys and then one of these flashbacks, it would look more legitimate, especially where we are. So our flyway, we don't have a huge flyway for ducks. So,
No.
so sitting 5 dozen mallard decoys, that looks wrong in our area. There is no need to set that many decoys in our area because ducks don't see it. We don't have that. We don't see that. So if you can add that realistic motion with just a couple of traditional decoys, buddy, that is money where we are, because everybody is just, well, you got to put out a lot of decoys. And there's times when you have to put out a lot of decoys if that's what the scout tells you. then that's what you do. But 9 times out of 10, Craig, Phil, I think you guys would agree with me. Sometimes less is more off here for us. Yeah, like if I put out, like I'm big water, Tyler, and when I say big water, I'm not talking huge. I'm just talking like a big lake or a big pond. Like I might put out 16 decoys. That's max. With a spinner, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't put out 2 full dozen decoys because there's no need. It's just more work for me. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all duck hunting is work.
Well, you're right. It is. But the other thing, you know, you touched on it. And again, this is where I think we differ from so many other things. There's so many aspects of duck hunting that if the 4 of us here, I promise you, the 4 of us will all have a different answer on what their favorite part of duck hunting is, because everyone will have their own specific reason. One time for me, it was the piles. Now it's my dog. I don't care. All I care about now is just is watching my dog work. That's the most important thing to me when it comes to hunting. And I feel bad if I miss birds or if I don't pull birds in. I feel bad for my dog, and I think my dog is judging me. I really do, because she looks at me sometimes and she looks pretty disgusted when I miss a shot or whatever. But there's a piece of me that's very, very jealous of you right now. And I'll tell you why. Because you've created something that is working, but you can hang your hat on the fact of saying, I had a problem, I figured something out. It wasn't easy, and people that are listening to this, and we can get into the process of trying to design a motion decoy and bring it to market, because I'm sure it's not easy. I'm trying to get a jacket made right now, and I'm a lot of money in, and I still don't have a fucking jacket. So I can't imagine what a motion decoy is. But to be able to sit in your blind with your dog and watch your product pull in that flock of mallards cupped up with the sun just coming up on the horizon, warming the back of your neck, watching the world wake up, buddy, there can't be a better feeling in the world, honestly.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling, but you know, at the same time, um, there's no hope for the satisfied man either. That's kind of a favorite quote of mine, right? Like we're always looking to get better, and there's always that perfect hunt that's kind of a white whale, right? But I think you touched on something that's super important. I think, you know, as hunters we evolve, and um, you know, people talk about this all the time in the hunting space, but you evolve, and you know, like lately for me, I've got a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and it's all about teaching. Like it's not about killing ducks anymore. It's all about teaching them to do it right and having a great day with them in the field, right? And making good sportsmen and gentlemen out of them. And I think where I really appreciate the flashback is the fact that I know I can go out there and you know, whether you're on the X or not on the X or whatever, you're going to have a couple opportunities for them to learn. And there's something to be said for that, right? Like when you've cleared the day for you to spend time in the field with your family, you want some success, or you want those kids to have some payoff for freezing their buns off in a dark marsh, right? So I think the flashback helps with that. But look, I've had the sickness since the first time I sat in a duck blind, and to be a part, even if it's a small part, in the history of duck hunting is great. And I, you know, I've got the customer phone here rigged to mine. Every once in a while, when I just kind of need a boost, I start picking up calls and talking to people and seeing what they think of the product. And I love that. Like that's super gratifying to me, just to be able to talk duck hunting with somebody. And when they say, hey, man, you'll never believe the one time we used your product, and that's he was hunting with my buddy Steve, who had a couple of them, and he wouldn't tell me what they were. I tracked you down on the internet because he didn't want anybody else having them, or whatever the case is. Like, that's the stuff that I find it's a little bit of a gratifying feeling to talk to a customer and know that you gave them a good day in the marsh because of that, you know. So
well, I'm going to reach out to a friend of mine, and he's a friend of Phil and Craig's as well. His name is Ben Hearn, and Benny is a guide in Saskatchewan with Joey Domenico, and I seen that Joey has a testimonial on your social media, and I'm not going to lie, I'm going to reach out to Benny because I know he's hunted over it, because Joey has said that he uses them up in Saskatchewan. So I'm going to reach out to Benny and ask him, you know, what his thoughts are. When you can have, and listen, I get it. Everybody's got an ambassador or a pro staff or someone who's going to get on and talk about how good the product is that they're representing, and that's great, and I love it, and there's a place for it. I really do. I love when I hear guides talk about product, because I'm hard on gear, but I'm not as hard on gear as what guides are. You know what I mean? I'm not doing it every single day of the season. And a guy like Joey that starts in Saskatchewan and then starts his trip south to chase the migration, I'd love to know what their thoughts are on it, because they're just beating the shit out of everything every day. So when they're standing behind a product, it really, really, you know, makes my ears perk up and say, this maybe should pay some attention to this one. When these guys are getting on talking about it, it tells me that you know, it's worth its weight in gold, for lack of a better term.
Definitely more so than you go on like Cabela's or any websites or whatever. You try reading reviews, and you see it's like guys like, oh, I got it a month ago. I've used it a couple of times. It's great. It's like, well, you've used it twice over a month. Sure, it's great, but what about after a couple of months or a bunch of hunts? So
that's right.
Yeah, when you can hear from guys like that are really putting it through the ringer, it makes a huge difference.
Tyler, what's the battery life? So I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, and then I'd like it if we could get to the tank, and then you could show us one in action, actually. But the two questions I have for you is, what's the battery life and that battery anchor that you have? So I don't know what the bottoms of your water is like where you're hunting, but up here we have these really, really soft bottoms where we're usually hunting, and we call it loon shit, but
my dad used to call it the same thing. That's funny. Yeah, you can't wade where you guys hunt, right?
No, not at all. So my concern is is there any fear of the decoy floating away within that loon shit, right? Because it's not going to hit the bottom, is what I'm getting at.
No. So there's a couple ways to deal with it, and understand that I grew up hunting the big water or bigger lakes with that same loon shit in the bottom. I mean, you'd kill yourself if it's like quicksand if you ever tried to wade in it, even in 3 feet deep water.
Mm-hmm.
So the way we designed the power anchor is it's a 12-volt lithium battery. Okay, it's about the size of a deck of cards. But, you know, you can't get a lithium battery that's not made anywhere besides China, right? Unfortunately, I'd love to get lithium batteries made stateside. I was just looking at a website today trying to get that done. But, you know, we're talking $100 a battery wholesale, which is, I can't pass that on to my customers, right? So we have to get those batteries out of China. And to be perfectly blunt, there's a different ideal of craftsmanship or pride in work coming from overseas a lot of times. So we got to get these crappy lithium batteries in, and what we do is we Americanize them. We take them and in a patented process, we encapsulate them in a special product that makes them waterproof. And then we case them in a ABS plastic box. So the product itself, I can run and grab one, but it's about the size of a deck of cards, and typically that goes to the bottom of the wetland just like a traditional decoy weight. So once you're charged up, you're all set to go. You connect it. The connector is actually the on-off switch for the decoy, so you can connect them the night before, pound them together, and then throw it out in the marsh in the morning. So you don't have to fight with hooking up batteries or anything like that. But they're pretty bulletproof. When you're hunting deeper water, I've got a lot of guys who use these in the Great Lakes areas in 20 feet of water. And what you do, it's very simple. The case to the power anchor has a little hole on it. You just zip tie that to a traditional decoy right next to it. And so it's almost like a long line, right? A short version of a long line. And then you get more motion out of that decoy too. The other thing that you can do is we do sell extensions if guys just want to make it easier. They don't want to have to deal with zip ties. And that I've hunted in that loon shit in Minnesota, and that power anchor's kind of got a flat side to it, so it just kind of finds itself in that loon shit and it'll hover there. So that decoy's not going anywhere. That hole also allows, like a lot of times out here, we're hunting current, right? We're hunting kind of fast rivers and eddies and stuff. So that little hole allows you to attach additional weight to, or a big lead anchor that can grip the gravel or whatever you need it to grip. So yeah, I think on the power anchor front, we've thought of everything, and I'm really pleased. Go ahead.
Sorry, but I cut you off there. How long does the battery go? How long is your
10
battery?
hours? 10 hours of charge, and it'll vary a little bit. I'm conservative with that. A lot of guys say they get 12 to 14 out of them, but it honestly depends on the air temperature more than anything else. But you're going to be able to easily do 1 or 2 hunts on a charged flashback. So it's kind of nice. So if you're out camping and hunting, you don't have to worry about charging the battery every 4 hours or whatever it is, and you're definitely not fighting with AA batteries on the cold hands in a marsh in the dark. So we think we thought of everything in terms of the easy use, and I don't know, I think that goes a long way with our customers too. Everything we make has a 1-year warranty, which is kind of unheard of in this business. We pride ourselves on getting orders out to people as quickly as possible, so if they do have an issue, we can send them a part and have it there by UPS within 3 days typically. The batteries we have to send ground, obviously, so that's 3 days typically to just about anywhere in the United States. But that's the other thing that I should talk about. We designed it so you can take this thing apart. It's essentially, the decoy itself is 4 parts. So you got the power anchor, you got the body of the decoy, you got the head of the decoy, and then you got a waterproof motor compartment. They go together like Legos. So you can remove one lock nut and take everything apart. So if your buddy runs his truck over the head of your decoy, you can call us up and I'll ship you a new head in a few days. You can have a replacement part and you're back up and running.
Awesome. As you're and I don't know, this is weird to say, but if you could head back now and show us one in action, that'd be good. We're about 15 minutes away from our hour mark, and that'll give us 15 minutes. We can talk about it, and I'd like to see I've seen it in action, but I'd like to be able to show the audience one in action as well, and then we can ask questions and talk about it as you're showing it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, do me a favor. Excuse the messy facility, but we're cranking this time of year, trying to get ready for the season. So stuff's a little disoriented. But here, I just got to show you real quick. Here's my sidekick and CFO right here. Here's Chief. So I don't know if you can see him there, but
oh, that's a good looking dog.
He's hanging out with me late night here. So yeah, we'll get one running in the tank, and just tell me if it's bad video footage.
No.
I'll throw one in here with our new feet that were coming out this year. This is an aftermarket kit that allows you to put feet on the decoy. gives you a little bit more flash of orange. We're pretty fired up about that. We went to Callapalooza, which kind of is like the first show on the circuit here. And we were running them in the tank, and people really seem to like the feet. So bear with me for a second here while I set the camera down. So I'm just connecting this right. This is the connector right here. We'll get this guy running.
Right off the bat, eh? As soon as you plug it in, it's running.
Yeah, so we'll just throw this in the tank. All right, tell me if you can see this now. Got a good view of it?
Just back up a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Now I think we're good there now. I know, Phil and Craig, I know if you're watching it right now, it looks like it's jumpy, but once we upload and everything, all that.
Yeah, everything uploads a lot
in
smoother.
fairness, he's completely froze up on my end.
Okay, and you're very blurry on my end, Phil. So, but that'll all come. Yeah. Oh, that.
Look, I can hear it going. Oh, there we go.
Are very, very bright.
Yeah, they really stand out.
They do.
Yeah, they just add a little more movement to it. So, it's we're pretty proud of them. They'll come in an aftermarket kit, and it's pretty easy to attach these things yourself. They're real durable. Yeah, just a little more flash, a little more realism.
Okay. So
go for it, Phil.
Oh, so now the bigger question, because this has been killing me all along. What's the body made of, and what's the head made of?
All right, so I'm going to turn the camera back on me while that guy's running there. But so the body is a combination of ABS plastic and high-density foam. And then we take that foam and we put a kind of what we call our truck bed liner over the top of it. So it makes it, you can throw it in the back of your truck without banging it up or chipping paint or anything like that. The head is kind of
like your version of doing the walnut.
Yeah. The head is all ABS plastic, and it's weighted so it pulls the ass end of the decoy up when it shifts down. But yeah, they just go together like Legos here. I mean, here's a hen body that I'm pulling off the line here.
It's perfect for duck hunters.
Yeah.
Coloring books and crayons.
Absolutely.
Sesame Street level, right? Like, don't we want everything to be intuitive, like Sesame Street level? So here's a motor compartment, and this just fits in that little section there, just like Legos would. I'm sorry about the camera work, guys. I'm definitely not Ansel Adams on this end of things, but that just fits together.
Videographer.
Yeah. No, it's good, buddy. We're getting the picture. Absolutely. We lost Tyler for a second. Yeah, that's okay. He'll come back.
Going through the warehouse.
Going through the warehouse, probably just in a dead zone or something like that. That's all. But Phil, you brought up that we got to keep it simple, because let's face it, we're not the smartest people, because we pick the shittiest weather and we chase after this thing in the coldest weather and the whole bit. But could you imagine though? And obviously there's a reason why we like to keep it simple, not just because of whatever, but the last thing you want to be doing is pulling your gloves off when it's the dark. You know what I mean? Like, we got to keep it simple.
You don't want to be fiddle farting around with numb fingers trying to hook A to B and like, no.
Yeah, you don't want it, and if the manufacturer can take all of that out of the product right off the bat, then the consumer wins in the long run. Like, we really do. I did want to talk to him a little bit about the price and stuff, and he had said, he understands that they're expensive, and I looked online at the price. And the price online in Canadian dollars is just over $300, right? For a single unit. And so to me, and I know there's some people that's going, oh man, like that's steep, right? Like $300.
Well, look at the price of some of the pulsators.
I get it. But for me, and I know there's a lot of people out there like me, and there's a lot of people out there that don't want to spend that kind of money on a decoy, and I totally get it. I enjoy, like I said, watching my dog work. I don't need pile picks anymore, but I do want to pull the trigger. Like, I'm not going out there for sunsets. I'm not going out there for pretty pictures, or I'm going out there to shoot birds. So if $300 puts more birds on my strap, then I'm in.
Well, and for that $300, what else what are you replacing too, right? Like if you don't need to take as many decoys out, you're just trading dollars.
Yeah.
And you look like Tyler said, like he's all small water, small spreads, which is 95% of my hunting. Like this fits the whole.
Yeah. So Tyler, while you're gone, so I'm guessing your phone died.
Yeah. I had 53% battery life going into it, but I didn't drop it in the tank, thank God. That's what I was figured.
This time.
Thought about it.
Yeah, this time. Yeah. So while you were away, we talked about what I had brought up was the fact that you had said that you understand that there's a price tag with it, right? And I looked on the website, and in Canadian dollars, it's just over $300 Canadian to buy one of these, right? And like I was saying to the boys, I understand fully that there's some people that's listening to this and they're going to say, man, $300, that's a lot of money for a decoy. And it is. And I'm not taking that away from anybody. But for me, and Craig touched on it, and Craig, you can jump in once I'm done here. But for me, the $300, I want to shoot ducks. I'm not out looking at sunsets and I love watching the world wake up in the morning, but that is quickly over with once I hear the first quack in the morning. It's game time. I want to shoot fucking birds, and I want to fill my strap. So $300 to me is a small time. If it's putting birds on my strap, then I'm happy about it. And then Craig had a point.
Yeah, and I just said again, like, what are you replacing with that one piece? Like, if you're not having to buy more equipment and you can kind of replace a few different things with this, then it's it's a wash. You're just trading dollars. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't want to be all things to all people. And like I said earlier, use what works and use what works for your pocketbook too. But I know that there's people out there that want stuff that they don't have to fight with, that they don't have to buy 4 times during the season. I mean, our 1-year warranty, no questions asked. Like, if you don't kill more ducks over this thing, I'll buy it back from you.
Wow.
It's $250 stateside. And if you look at some of the other motion stuff that's out there that's using a different formula, like it's just right. It's in the ballpark at the very least.
Exactly what Phil said.
And there are guys that I hunt with that scare more ducks away with $250 duck calls than they've got them lined on their lanyard. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just look at it differently. Where I grew up hunting, calls weren't a big deal. Nobody called. If you did, you had one of those old folks calls that you squawked on a couple times or gave to your kid in the duck blind and made him feel like he was participating. But decoys were a big deal. And, it's a little bit of an arms race on the decoy front, right? You have to have more and the latest, greatest. And I don't know. I like the product that we put out. I think it's easy to use, which is a huge part of the battle. The last thing I want to do is fight with something in a cold marsh. Like, that's the last thing I want to do. Anyway, I'm not great about chest beating about it. It's just not my place. Like, I'm kind of a Ted Kaczynski type guy. If I could be all alone by myself carving decoys in a cabin in the middle of the woods, that's kind of the thing that I would be doing. Like, I've got a little bit of a martyr complex. It's been a difficult process bringing this to market and growing this, right? You get a lot of, it's one thing to build a couple of these prototypes. It's another thing to manufacture them in mass. There's nothing easy about that process. We try to use all of our components and get them stateside, which is another difficult thing. I don't know. I just think it makes a difference, and I like when my name's going to be associated with something. I don't want it to be a big piece of shit. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Well, buddy, I'm going to tell you that whatever we can do to help grow it, we certainly will. I promise you that, because and I'm saying that without even ever touching one, but I will remedy that quite quickly, I believe. So I love it, man. I think it's a great product. It certainly, again, I haven't touched it. I haven't seen it in action myself, but I want one because I think, and I'm fairly certain Phil and Craig would agree that if we were to utilize that as one of our tools up here, it's just different. And if you can be different and add real life and be unlike anybody else, your success is just going to go through the roof.
And it's something ducks have not been conditioned to.
Absolutely.
And every effing duck on the face of the earth has seen a mojo.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm not going to rip on mojo. I think, like, in a field, they work awesome. They work awesome.
They serve a purpose.
They do.
100% they serve a purpose, but
I will tell you this: by the time they get down to where I hunt, they've seen them, and they stay clear of them. But that's where I hunt. I can't tell you what it's like in Arkansas. I can't tell you what it's like on the East Coast, and what it's like up in Canada.
Towards the middle of the season, the mid to end of the season, like, you're putting it out there. I'm not convinced it's doing anything. I use them all the time, and I love spinning wing decoys, and I do, and I'll always say I love spinning wing decoys. But they have a time and a place. There is a time in the season that it's just pointless to put them out, because every bird has already seen them. There's so many of them out there right now.
Well, my main field spread is like 20 dozen silhouettes, 2 mojos.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, even
2 mojos, and west, smash ducks over them.
Buddy, out west,
use what works.
Yeah. When we guide in Saskatchewan, like, same deal, Phil. Like, we use a lot of socks, right? And silhouettes. We'll use a lot of silhouettes and socks and stuff like that. But we still put out two mojos, 2 robo ducks every time, because you just need them. Tyler, the thing that there's so many little nuances when it comes to a product, and here's the one thing that will absolutely put me into orbit on a cold November morning when I'm setting something up, and that's when the product doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, I can become a very, very grumpy, angry individual fairly fast, and my day is just ruined at this point. So when somebody comes on the show and they can stand behind a product and say, "Hey, listen, it works," and if it doesn't work, I'm going to stand behind it, because, listen, a lot of people talk about customer service, and they can stand on their soapbox and talk about it, but when the time comes to make a call to the company and say, "Hey, listen, this isn't working," and you don't get any resolution, that's a problem. But from the way I'm hearing you talk, you stand behind your product. You've even said, you said it here 5 minutes ago, that if it doesn't kill birds, you'll buy it back.
Yeah, and we honor that, and I'll go a little step further for you. So, my dad used to say, like, great customer service is the lost art of the Western world. Like, we're all tired of dialing up and getting somebody in India that says, push button 1 for this and button 2 for that. Like, we got a guy who runs our customer service program, who's a firefighter out of Greeley, Colorado. His name's Jared. He's awesome. He's a hunter. He gets it. He lives and dies by this. He loves his job because he gets to talk to duck hunters. You know, odds are that you're either going to get me or Jared on the phone. Like, I love getting the pulse of this place. And every once in a while, I need a boost by talking to a customer. I want to know if we're putting out good product or not. So I want to take a certain percentage of those calls. And yeah, I want to do something different here with this company. And yeah, it's probably, you know, hasn't allowed us to grow as quickly as some of the other decoy companies out there, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm in the long haul for this, and we're going to win people over with our products and with our customer service. And that's the way we look at this. Hunting's too important to put out shitty products. It just is. I can't do it. I can't do it. So, yeah, give us a call if you guys have questions. Like, I'm pretty sure you're going to end up buying one by the time. Like, any of your listeners have questions, you talk to Jared, you're going to end up buying a decoy. Like, that's just the way the guy's wired. But we love talking to people. We love knowing what's going on. We love knowing how people use them. And the other part of this is, you know, I've got this kind of bucket list trip that I've never hunted Canada. And I'm sorry to say, I've got buddies who hunt Lake of the Woods all the time. And I don't know. I must not be the most fun guy to be with in a duck blind because I never get invites, or at least they lose my address or something. But I would love to come up there, and my bucket list trip is following that duck migration down. And maybe one day after I get out of the decoy business, this can happen. But I'd love to follow migration down and just go to junior hockey barns and watch games and just spend like September, October watching junior hockey and killing ducks up in Canada. It seems utopic to me up there, and it's something that my brother and I are going to do together. I don't know when. I thought I used to hunt a lot, and then I got into the decoy business, so this place keeps me in here a lot. But I'd love to bring up
hunt at all.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to bring up a bunch of flashbacks and spend a little time in the blind, learn from you guys. I'm always learning when it comes to duck hunting, so. Yeah, I'd love to see how you guys do it up there. And we'll get Luke to sign a couple decoys for you and get them to you.
Wow, that'd be cool. Buddy, it would be an honor to have you. And, you know, the beauty thing is that all three of us live in junior hockey cities. I've got a junior hockey team. Craig's got one and Phil's got one, all in our own hometowns. So, and you know, you may have to manage your expectations on what you're going to learn from the three of us, but I promise you'll have lots of laughs. If not,
every time I hunt with somebody new, I learn something, and if I can get a laugh out of it too, that's even all the better. But I don't claim to be the liver king of duck decoys. You know what I mean? I get so turned off by all these guys that are doing leg squats while they have a gold-plated Bowie knife in their mouth and duck camouflage on, saying that you need to get into shape to go duck hunting or whatever it is. Like, I think we need to get kind of back to the traditional roots of duck hunting and understand, like, yeah, it is a skill, but at the same time, like, you know, you don't have to be Cameron Haynes to do it correctly. You know what I mean?
And so don't ever forget, round is a shape.
That's right. And I'm living proof of it right there. Fellas, we are over to 60 minutes. Tyler, buddy, this was a great conversation, and we didn't even get to talk about hunting in Colorado, which I wanted to, because you're just going to
repeat guest.
Yeah, repeat guest. You're going to get another invite.
Well, I'd love it. I'd love to teach you guys how to miss some ducks here in Colorado.
We have Craig for that.
I can miss ducks anywhere.
Nice, Craig. Nice.
Let's do a quick around the table, boys, and we'll end her here. So Philly, to you first, my man.
Tyler said, I've been checking out the product for quite some time, and again, like, just it's something different. It's something new. It's something birds have not seen. Like, again, there's been a handful of other products out there that are kind of like in a similar boat as yours, where it's like completely new, completely unseen, never done, and like you've nailed that with your decoy again. Like, you've got that motion, the flash of the butt, and then like you're pushing wake. You're not making ripples. You're pushing wake, and that is motion. And
That's
that
the
is what's
difference.
never been seen. So
Yeah,
that is definitely that's the
a good
killing
point,
edge.
Billy. That's a good point. You're creating wake as opposed to
I
making ripples.
I peaked late today.
Got to give people a reason to come back next time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
I
job,
peaked
Billy.
late.
Craig, to you, my man.
Oh, it's just good talking to you, Tyler, and seeing the product. It looks really cool. And one thing I really like about being on here is seeing the guys that come on and bring these different products. And what I like is when you're talking about them, and I'm already sitting here kind of thinking like, where would that apply? Like, because like you said, not every product needs to be used all the time, but it's like everything has a place. And so it's like I always find like, yeah, I'm sitting here in the chair thinking like, yeah, okay, I know a spot where that would be what's needed. So I really enjoy that. And it's always interesting to me to see what people can come up with, like taking their idea and putting it in the real world, because it's just something like that's foreign to me. So it's really cool to see.
Tyler,
Thanks.
last words to you, my man.
Well, gentlemen, sorry about the phone issue earlier. I feel like a dumbass for that, but I appreciate you guys having me on, and it's a pleasure talking to you guys.
You just broke up. Hold on. Are you guys hearing them okay? Okay, because I couldn't hear him. Sorry, Tyler.
It's because he's not
No,
speaking Newfoundlandese. Going on.
Oh,
yeah, we're going to need a translator for guys down south to listen to this. There's a pretty northern burr on this conversation. We're going to need
yeah.
somebody sign languaging in the corner. Pleasure to talk to you guys. I appreciate what you did for Duck Creek by having us on. If you ever have questions, or if any of your listeners have questions, call me up. Phone numbers on the website. We want people to talk to us. I'd rather talk to somebody over the phone.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you so much. First off, thank you for calling me and getting back to me and wanting to come on the show, because I know sometimes people, well, not sometimes, people are busy, and for you, this is your busy time of year, so for you to carve some time out of your schedule to sit down with us three retrobates, I really do appreciate it. I think the boys hit everything on the head. I love the product. I can't wait to get one myself. I can't wait to put it to use. And I promise you, this is not the last time you're going to be on the show. Well, it's not going to be the last time you get an invite from the show. If you choose to come on, that's up to you. But we would love to have you back on, and would love to chat more, especially because you have a new product coming out in the fall, and we would love to hear more about that. So that'd be really cool. Ladies and gentlemen, this was episode 232. I had to double check my notes. This is episode 232 of the Union 0430 podcast. We are not experts at duck hunting, and we will never pretend to be. We are a group of friends that love hanging out, talking, hunting ducks. Big love. Surround yourself with good people, and good things will happen. Until next time, go check out Duck Creek Decoy Works. Big love.